Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are going deep, really deep. We're exploring one of the most fundamental questions humanity has ever dared to ask. So let's just dive right in. We're tackling a question first posed thousands of years ago in the ancient Upanishads of India, and it's a big one. What is the ultimate source of reality? And how can our tiny, finite minds even begin to wrap themselves around something that might be infinite? Now, this isn't just some dusty academic puzzle, This is a real search for what philosophers call the absolute, that single fundamental principle that could explain everything else. The first domino, the final answer, the whole shebang. And what's really remarkable is just how long this search has been going on. The philosopher Ernest Renan made a great point back in the 19th century. He said, look, if religion were just a simple mistake, a total illusion, it would have vanished ages ago. The fact that it's still here points to something really, really fundamental about being human. Okay, so where do we even begin an investigation this huge? Let's start with the first clues we have, from way back in the ancient world. Did this religious impulse, this quest for the absolute, come from forces outside of us, from the world around us? Well, here's one of the oldest theories out there. Our ancient ancestors, they looked out at a world that was dangerous, totally unpredictable. I mean, you've got storms, predators, disease. Did they invent God simply out of sheer terror? And there's some real weight to this idea. The historian Alfred Maury, he noticed that a lot of early cults were all about appeasing powerful and, let's be honest, often nasty gods. He argued that things like animal sacrifice didn't come from a place of love, but from the raw terror of divine anger and a desperate hope to calm it down. But, okay, fear is a powerful motivator, for sure. But it's not the whole story. On the other side of that coin, you've got wonder. Just think about the awe that Homer's heroes felt when they thought about Oceanus, this idea of an infinite, unknowable river that was the source of all life. That feeling, that sublime sense of something vast and mysterious, that was an equally powerful drive. And this is where things get really fascinating, because it leads us to this major pivot in the whole investigation. What if the source of all this isn't out there, in the storms and the stars, but it's actually deep within the human mind itself? Right. There are thinkers, like the anthropologist Quatrefages, who argued that being religious isn't something we learn. It's an innate part of being human. It's a faculty we're literally born with, and it's what truly sets us apart from every other animal on the planet. So, how would that even work? How does a mind just create a god? Well, the philologist Max Muller came up with this absolutely brilliant theory, and it's all about language. So it starts simple. Step 1, we perceive individual things. We see lots of trees. Step 2, our amazing brain forms an abstract concept from that. We call it forest. But here's the magic trick. Step 3, we personify that abstract idea. We give it agency, a personality, a name, like the spirit of the forest. And boom. Just like that, a deity is born, right out of grammar and thought. And language is just one piece of this internal puzzle. You've got the psychologist Wundt, who believed our unconscious mind just can't help it. It projects its own sense of cause and effect onto the universe. Other thinkers point to dreams. I mean, think about it. If you dream about someone who's passed away, maybe that's where we got the whole concept of a soul, an eidolon, or a spirit double. And maybe the biggest clue of all is our unique ability to even think about the infinite, an idea that goes so far beyond what our 5 senses can ever tell us. So we've got these two big camps, right? External origins versus internal origins. And once those foundations are on the table, well, the whole thing just explodes into a full-blown philosophical war, with radically different ideas about reality clashing head-on. In one corner, you've got the metaphysicians. These are the thinkers arguing that there is a higher, unseen reality. And they came with some heavy-hitting arguments. They'd ask these huge questions like, why is there something instead of nothing, pointing to causality? They used pure logic with ontological arguments suggesting the very idea of a perfect being proves it has to exist. And they'd point to our shared moral compass as evidence of some kind of universal absolute good. But then, a powerful new challenger steps into the ring, ready to flip the entire chessboard over. And that challenger was materialism. Materialists like Joseph Ditskin, they did not pull their punches. They made a really stark claim. They said all these lofty ideas, God, justice, freedom, they're just smoke and mirrors. The real engine driving the world, they argued, isn't ideas. It's raw material interest. It's economics, biology, physics. So you see this fundamental clash, right? It's two totally opposite ways of explaining reality. Metaphysics starts from the top down. It tries to explain the physical world, the lower, by using these higher unseen principles. Materialism does the exact opposite. It starts from the bottom up. It explains our higher ideas, thought, morality, art, as just byproducts of lower physical stuff like chemistry and mechanics. So after all these centuries of intense head-to-head debate, where does that leave us? Well, it leaves us with a final and, honestly, a really cool twist in the story. Get this. It turns out that this human need to find an ultimate explanation, an absolute, is so powerful, so deeply ingrained, that it creeps back in even in the very philosophies that try their best to deny it. A perfect example is the philosopher Herbert Spencer. This guy was a total champion of science. He wanted to explain the entire world through observable scientific facts. But after he explained everything he possibly could, he concluded that all of reality ultimately rests on something he called the unknowable, an ultimate inaccessible force that science can never, ever penetrate. Sound familiar? It's the absolute, just wearing a lab coat. And this leads us to our final and maybe most profound takeaway. Maybe the true answer isn't metaphysical or materialist. Maybe the most important truth we can find here isn't an answer at all, but the unending, uniquely human, relentless search itself. Perhaps the whole point isn't to find the absolute, but simply to be the kind of creature that can never, ever stop asking the question.